Praise God. All right. I'm using the microphone even though it's not helping you, it's helping them. I want to welcome you to our second Living Stations of the Cross. It's not working in here. Should I be louder? Okay, but I don't want to scream in the mic. Okay, so I want to welcome you to our second Living Stations of the Cross. The kids have worked hard on this, and they're very excited to honor what is arguably the second most important day of our faith, the foundation of what we try to live out. I was struck, I feel compelled to share this. I was very much struck this morning as I was freaking out over every little detail, because that's what we do sometimes, that it's really not about the production, it's about the experience. You've heard us say before, God knows we are human. Sometimes we need to remind ourselves that we are human. And so as we stumble through this, figuratively and literally, I invite you into space where you can reflect on the power and the magnitude of today's meaning. So at this time, I invite you to join me at the doors, and we will enter the living stations of the cross. Sorry, David, I forgot to tell you. Just gather. Watch Rachel. So glad you're
When morning came, all the chief priests and the elders of the people conferred together against Jesus in order to bring out his death. They bound him, led him away, and handed him over to Pilate the governor.
The assembly of elders, priests, and scribes rose as Jesus was brought before Pilate. They began to accuse him, saying, "We found this man perverting our nation, forbidding us to pay taxes to the emperor, and saying that he himself is the Messiah, a king." Then Pilate asked him,
"Are you the king of the Jews?"
You say so.
I find no basis for an accusation against this man.
but they were insistent.
He stirs up people by teaching throughout all Judea. He's a troublemaker.
He even claims to be the Messiah.
Tells us not to pay taxes.
Pilate then called together the chief priests, the leaders, and the people, and said to them, they had brought Pilate this man as one who was perverting the people. But in his examination of Jesus, Pilate felt Jesus was not guilty of all that he had been accused of. In fact, Pilate's superior, Herod, had also found Jesus was not guilty.
This man has done nothing to deserve death.
Crucify him! Crucify him! Crucify him!
As they went out, they came upon a man from Cyrene named Simon. They compelled this man to carry his cross.
When Jesus was first presented at the temple,
Simon said to Mary, "This child is destined for the falling and the rising of many, and a sword shall pierce your own soul too."
My son! My son! They're gonna kill my son!
He deserves to be crucified.
Look, he's the king of the Jews, but he can't even carry his own cross.
Oh, this is awful, this poor man.
A great number of the people continued to follow Jesus, many of which were women of Jerusalem. They were greatly grieved and were sobbing and beating their chests. Suddenly, Jesus stopped walking and slowly turned around.
Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me.
Jesus' message was not exactly comforting. He told them not to be sad for them, but to weep for themselves and for their children. It is a message that greater distress will surely be coming, including destruction and division of Jerusalem and the exile of its people. It is a message that urged them to introspect on the broad impact of the events taking place that day, to mourn the consequences of the sins being committed by the people of this passion. Jesus is not discouraging grief, but urging spiritual action and not just having a religious masquerade.
Here, King, here's a crown for the King of the Jews.
It was now about noon, and darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon.
From noon on, darkness came over the whole land till around 3 in the afternoon.
The sun's light failed, and the curtain of the temple was torn in two. Then Jesus, crying with a loud voice, said,
Father, into your hands I commend my spirit.
Having said this, he breathed his last.
One of the centurions that accompanied the procession was greatly moved. What he had seen overtook his sensibilities and called out in praise and anguish.
Truly, this man was the Son of God.
When all the crowds of spectators who had gathered there for this spectacle saw what had taken place, they returned home, beating their chests in grief, while all his friends, including the woman, stood at a distance, watching these things.
I wonder how it felt, their friend and leader killed before their eyes.
I wonder how Judas felt. Did he have remorse? Did he realize the gravity of his betrayal of his best friend?
I wonder if God wept too, watching the sacrifice of his son.
Thankfully, we now know that the story doesn't end there. I imagine the next 48 hours felt like walking in a black hole. I imagine that the joy and glorious celebration of just a few days prior sat bitterly in the back of people's throats, choked with grief.
I wonder.
Thank you for coming to the EYC's Living Stations of the Cross. We hope that you experience the presence of God while here.
You are invited to take a closer look at the Holy Week paintings on the wall. Many of the artists are here and would love to answer your questions about the symbolism and inspiration that went into their work.
You are also invited to attend the solemn liturgy in the nave beginning at noon. And don't miss our family Easter Vigil service tomorrow at 5:30 in this space. Thank you for coming and have a blessed afternoon.